Chief Minister of Goa, Mr. Vijai Sardesai. Mr. Sardesai, as we thank you for joining us, it's at a time when we are seeing 83 people have been choked to death. The Goa bench of the Bombay High Court has pulled up the government and also asked for answers. My first question then to you, sir. The government said there is no oxygen shortage. There is a political misunderstanding. However, we are seeing between the Chief Minister and the Health Minister, seeing the statistics, we are seeing people are choked to death not because of COVID but because of oxygen shortage. What are we to make out of this mismanagement?
See, the Goa bench of the Bombay High Court is hearing a public interest petition in which the government itself has submitted that because of logistical reasons, there has been a shortage in the oxygen at the Goa Medical College, which is the Goa's premier government hospital, in the dark hours, which is actually from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And in the last 5 days, 83 people have died. But the figures of last night and Sunday night, which is Saturday and Sunday preceding night, are not out. So I expect these figures to be much above 100. And these people have died not because of COVID, but because of what we call midnight murders at JMC. Mismanagement when it comes to oxygen shortage. Now, it has been our demand that, just like the case in Chamarajnagar, where the Karnataka High Court has intervened, also invoked Article 21 of the Constitution, right to life, and has put the government on notice saying that these people need to be compensated because it is the government's responsibility for killing these innocent people. The same, I think, the High Court has to invoke in the Goa matter also. And the Goans who have lost their lives because of the negligence of this careless state government have got to be compensated. This is the first thing. But the issue is much bigger than this. The issue is basically a complete mismanagement of the COVID scenario. The New York Times yesterday says that Goa is the highest global example of new COVID cases amongst 1 lakh people and the slowest vaccination drive to tame the virus. This is what I'm just quoting the New York Times, yesterday's New York Times. So we have become a global embarrassment. Goa, the brand Goa, which used to have a complete global brand recall, has now become an embarrassment because of the mismanagement and ignorance of the Goa Chief Minister, who calls himself a doctor, but doesn't behave like a doctor, nor does he behave like a Chief Minister. So this is what has made our renowned tourism destination into a banana republic and a laughing stock of the whole nation. A 1.5 million population cannot be managed by a government which boasts of a double engine, which says that it has support from the center also, but cannot even supply oxygen to patients in the ICU in their own hospital. What can you say about this? So this mammoth, colossal mismanagement that we have seen in Goa is on account of the Chief Minister mismanaging the whole show. His focus is elsewhere. His focus has never been on the pandemic. And therefore, we now, as the opposition, have suggested, I have just written to him, saying that we have something called, in this budget, he had declared 100 crores for local MLA development fund. We are saying take this entire 100 crores and use it to vaccinate our people and to ramp up the medical infrastructure in our respective constituencies. We don't want any more development. We just want to take care of the lives of Goan people. Because to us, our voters and the Goans, their lives matter. They may not matter to the Chief Minister, but they matter to us. And Goan lives are important, they matter, and therefore I have myself written to the Chief Minister now, utilize this entire funds of the local MLA development fund for this vaccination as well as ramping up the state medical infrastructure. Secondly, the government has got 300 crores to celebrate the 60th year of our liberation. Utilize this money for ramping up the infrastructure. You are getting money to spend for celebrations. What are you celebrating? Are you celebrating death? In the last 19 days, more than 1,000 people have died in Goa. And the first 1,000 have died in the last 10 months. So you just see we have the highest positivity percentage in the country. So see the state of mismanagement of Goa. So it is high time that this chief minister is dismissed by the center, and a task force which is monitored by the High Court is brought in of experts and good Goan officers who should actually take charge when this war-like situation exists in the state. This is my demand with the center as well as with the
Mr.
High Court.
Sardesai, I have also seen that you have written a letter to the Chief Minister now saying there should be mass vaccination in Goa, and you've also connected this to say that the 100 crores should now not be used for development but for mass vaccination. I also want to understand what is happening between the Chief Minister and the Health Minister, because the Chief Minister said we were unable to get oxygen shortage. The Dean of the Goa Medical College had said oxygen shortage was there. The Health Minister, however, said opening up travel led to this. What is the true picture?
See, the picture is like this. The Chief Minister's focus in the entire pandemic has been on transportation of iron ore. He has got interest in this industry. He is perhaps the only Chief Minister in the country who owns a mine. He's a mine owner who is a Chief Minister. Perhaps maybe the only one in the country. So he has got interest there. His entire focus has been on iron ore transportation, nothing else. So when the entire state was demanding for a lockdown, he did not agree. The local self-government bodies made a self-lockdown, imposed a self-lockdown, and the people of Goa accepted this self-lockdown. Eventually, it required the intervention of the Goa bench of the Bombay High Court to have a curfew, which is now ongoing. So the Chief Minister's priorities are elsewhere. The Health Minister is saying that we actually pointed out and demanded a probe from the High Court in this matter. Then there was a demand to remove the Health Minister himself. And the Chief Minister started behaving as if he had taken over the portfolio of health. Now that is his prerogative to sack his Health Minister. But our only issue is in this intra-party feud between the Chief Minister and the Health Minister, Goan lives were being lost. We said if you want to remove him, you remove him because that's your prerogative. But don't kill Goans. This sort of this midnight murders that are happening in GMC is pathetic situation. This is serial killing of innocent Goans happening in the state during the dark hours of the night. So the actual situation is the oxygen shortage at GMC has been admitted in an affidavit by the Goa government in the Goa bench of the Bombay High Court hearing this writ petition. I have now offered, because they keep saying that Vijai only criticizes. So I have offered, take my 100 crores from my local MLA development fund and use it to vaccinate my people and to ramp up the medical infrastructure in my constituency. I have to say this because the government seems to be not having anything at hand. Even yesterday's cyclone, the meeting of the disaster management committee was held post the cyclone. We have never had any meeting of the committee before. So what we are not able to understand where we are heading, where the state of Goa, which is considered as a jewel in the crown of the country, the pearl of the Orient, this is what they used to call us. Where are we heading? Are we becoming a laughing stock because we have a chief minister who doesn't understand the situation, a person who calls himself to be a doctor and who could not visualize the second wave coming? We were the last state in the country to go for a curfew. And we have got the highest positivity percentage in the country. We objected to the mandatory negative certificate that is required for people to enter. So what is this? It is only livelihoods. And whose livelihood? If there are going to be no lives, then where is the question of livelihood?
So, Mr. Sardesai,
when we say that we have to balance between livelihoods and lives,
Mr. Sardesai, my question then is going to be, in the affidavits that they have written in the Goa bench of the Bombay High Court, the government has not revealed the reasons for the death. It has informed the Bombay High Court that during the process of attaching the oxygen cylinders to the manifold, there was some interruption which resulted in the pressure of the supply lines of oxygen to patients, and that is why 83 people choked to death. And the figure that you've given is extremely crucial for our viewers to understand here, because 83 people lost their lives. Goa Medical College with 8 more died on Saturday night, and like you said, between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. This is a colossal loss. It needs to be pointed out that 1,000 people losing their lives in a month compared to 10 months before that has to be taken into account. And the last question, therefore, I ask you, the reason for this has not been given to the High Court yet as to what really led to this colossal loss of life.
See, the reason is very simple. You know, there is a figure of speech in English called euphemism. It is like saying a very rough thing in a very light manner. So they are trying to say that no, it is logistical reasons. They've given this word called logistical reasons to justify this oxygen mismanagement. So this oxygen shortage has been justified as logistical reason. But the High Court is aware, and High Court has initiated steps to iron out these issues, especially when it comes to oxygen shortage. Now, these 83 deaths,
yes,
without counting yesterday and today, are only after the High Court has intervened. This was happening for a much longer time. And yes, I don't think less people have been killed. There are so many people who have died. And I'll just correct you, the figures of 1,000 deaths is not for a month. It is only for 19 days. So in a state of 1.5 million people, 1,000 people die in 19 days. Means you can just understand. We are in the New York Times today as the most mismanaged place in the world. First comes we, then.
Mr. Sardesai, absolutely. It is therefore, Mr. Sardesai, like you are saying, a necessity. There needs to be a probe on this. Even the money that you're talking about and the information that you've just given us, that you've written to the Chief Minister and said that the 100 crores should be used for mass vaccination, should be done on a war footing. I thank you for being with us, giving us a clear picture. Like it is that the Goa bench of the Bombay High Court is looking at the matter, we only hope that this oxygen shortage is sorted out and the Goa government is able to give answers to the people of Goa. Thank you, Mr. Sardesai, for being with Republic TV.